Welcome to Going the Distance, the Rocky Series podcast. I'm your host, and with me, as always, is Katie and Kyle. How are you today, guys?
Hola. Good. How are you?
Good. Kyle?
I overdid yard work today, so I feel like I want to die. But otherwise, I'm okay.
Well, those who are seeing this on video, I am in quarantine or isolation again before I go sailing, and I might as well just say it now. This will officially be the last episode while we go on a mini hiatus. If you're listening to this in somewhat real time, I will be gone from. There'll be no new episodes released basically from, well, quick math here, May 23rd until August-ish, maybe. So my goal is to record 2 episodes in the break that I have between the two sales. Get a couple out there just to touch base again, and then I'll be gone again for 4 months. So really, the rest of 2021, from May onwards, there are only going to be a couple episodes. So I apologize. So what's important is, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to your feed so when we come back, you'll get that alert and you won't forget about us, because after 4 or 5 months, you'll be like, ugh, I don't care how they finish with Creed. So that's possible. But we appreciate everyone that sticks around, and people who have listened to my channel for the last 4 or 5 years, they know that I sail, and it's not really news to a lot of longtime listeners. So another break is coming. So without further ado, though, let's just get right into it. We got a lot to cover today. So, Katie, you've got part 3 and the final part of Seiko's. What's that word that describes a really big essay? Not eponymous. That's not right. What's that word? You know the word I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, I do, but I can't think of it now either.
Epic.
Seiko would know.
Yeah, Seiko would know. He will. Yeah.
I feel like we've
dissertation.
Feel like we went the distance after reading this thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want no reply.
Why?
I don't want one either.
Yeah. He's enjoying our rebuttals, or not our rebuttals, but our discussion about it. So he's let me know that he enjoys that, and he's quite the character. And remember all the crap I said about him? Remember when I told you that it wouldn't bother him none? It didn't.
Well, it didn't.
It didn't. No, in fact, he was so nonplussed about it that he didn't even say anything. What does that tell you? He just rolls right off that guy's back. I tell you, nothing sticks to that guy. I don't think you could ever hurt his feeling. Okay. All right. Let's do it.
Okay. So we ended up with, we were talking about weight classes. So now he goes on to say Donnie doesn't lose his title. Donnie doesn't lose his title because Victor gets disqualified. Really? We suffer through a boring and predictable subplot with the child who is hereditarily deaf, and we see the failed champion just sulk on the bottom of his pool. If you don't like Donnie, it won't have the Rocky 3 effect, people. You don't feel relief when he comes out of the catharsis. You feel foreboding that the wrong guy is going to win for all of the wrong reasons. The audience checked out at this point. Some got so irritated they started pelting popcorn at the screen. Donnie, those
Germans are so angry.
Indefatigable, of course, miraculously beats Victor in the end because he trained with some small, old, toothless Mexican guy in the car tire. Creed 3 should be about that Mexican fighter getting a shot at Donnie's. Weight or ranking doesn't matter. Sham of a world title. Even with the tough Mexican trainer under his belt, Donnie still has to cheat to win. So the Dragos lose their chance at a family reunion with Mommy Ludmilla. She doesn't hang with the losers. By the time the ending came around, we were cheering for every landed punch on Adonis, as if Victor was facing Roman Reigns in WWE, who now that I think about it, are a lot like, who are a lot alike as characters. Both Roman and cheater Donnie are. I'm not familiar with Roman Reigns. That's why I was like, what is he talking about?
There are listeners, certainly Hector, okay, our favorite wrestler, he'll know.
Okay, so both Roman and cheater Donnie are shoved down our throats as someone to cheer for when there really is no organic reason for it, and they lack the talent and skill set to change our minds. You can put the belt on Donnie, but he's no champ. I felt sick when Rocky's theme came on right before Adonis gets up like magic and goes for the knockout. What a miraculous recovery. A good thing they built up that kind of resilience during the movie. This from the guy who got knocked the fuck out after betting his car in a gym in California. No Bill Conti's theme is used. Why? Shouldn't that be a rap music or the cat drowning sounds that emanates from his annoying wife's throat? I never want to experience that again. What a failed movie. At least my friends weren't too mad because I paid for the tickets. Rocky, of course, suffers a final indignity because he has to go see his grandchild for the first time as he is estranged again from his son. Again? Really? Again? Why? Okay, I'm not going there. Too tiresome. I will hate listen out of sheer loyalty and because you kids do such a great job, but I can't wait for the first season of Rambo. Now, excuse me while I wash the Creed taste out of my mouth and go watch 1976 Rocky.
Oof. Well, that's...
He didn't like Creed?
Yeah, I don't think he says that.
Wait, so what were you trying to say?
I don't know. Like, do we want to, like... I don't really feel like addressing like every point in that one.
No. We just
overall there are some good points. I think the general theme of his entire email is that Adonis Creed is not inherently likable, and there's no reason that you cheer for him. Essentially, and the movie's backwards, which I see the merit in that for sure. So the only thing I like to say is the DQ thing, the disqualification. To me, I wasn't thrilled about that, but had he lost to Victor, he's kind of motivated to get his title back, right? Because Donnie would never be the one who would just fade out and quit boxing. But if you keep your title because he was disqualified, there is the temptation to just move on and fight someone else, and you're still champion. So he kind of has to muster more courage there to fight Victor Drago again. He has to decide whether he's, gonna duck someone or if he's gonna keep going. So I don't know.
Man, that's the only won, but I didn't beat you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's even then I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't super happy about the disqualification, but I think it has a little bit of merit to it.
Yeah, we'll discuss that obviously when that happens, when we watch the match. But good points. Yeah, there would be some stuff to say on that. I just want to say thank you, Seiko, for that email and for the discussion points it did bring up. I think a lot of the points we kind of feel the same about, maybe not as strongly, maybe not as colorfully, but there's certainly some points that at the very least, we understand where you're coming from. I think a lot of our listeners do too. And we appreciate that you're still listening to the episodes. We appreciate that. And I hope, I wonder if there's a few other listeners who are doing the same, who are kind of still hate listening, despite their feelings on the Creed films. Because the Creed films in their own right have been divisive with people across the board.
And also, we should consider investing in a P.O. box. And because I wouldn't mind some hate mail written down. And for example, if someone could clip out letters from the newspaper and kind of do it that way so their handwriting can't be analyzed, that would be nice.
Well, something I'm going to look into is a phone number that people can call and leave messages. I think you get those online phone numbers where it just calls a box in the cloud or whatever, and then we can play people's mail. So if they want to call in and leave their feedback, we can play that on future episodes. So that if that's something people want to do, I'll set that up during the break, and people can leave us their voices and express what they want via voice.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I wonder how many people are going to drunk dial that thing though.
The good news is I can screen it. I don't have to play anything that I don't want to. So if it's a valid or a lively conversation, we'll definitely play it. Okay, I did want to say too that Greg the First, I thought he was ducking us. He's not, but my brain is going crazy. He sent an email saying that what he's been doing is he's been a lot of people do this. They'll pile up a bunch of episodes and they'll binge listen to 10 in a row. So he's been doing that, and so when he wrote us, he hadn't listened to season 8 yet, or what we started so far. So I just sent him a message. I lost the email. I don't know if I inadvertently deleted it, and Google Mail's the worst. things I put in the trash seem to disappear. I don't know how to recover. So I've just sent him an email saying, as of this recording. So Greg, I'm just letting you know, as of this recording, I sent you that email saying, hey, can you quickly send me an email? The one that you sent, like just resend it if it's still in your outbox. Because honestly, I don't know.
You sent me one?
No, I don't think it was Greg the first. It was Greg Nehan. And Greg Nehan is like the other Greg, I believe.
No, I have one from Greg the First that you sent me.
What? Okay, well, that's going to be some fun editing on my part.
Breaking news, we've recovered the Greg the First email.
Okay, so why don't...
We're going to be live from the air.
Okay, wow. Okay, so Greg, if you haven't stopped listening, yeah. Why do you read that then? Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I thought I...
Yeah, there's a few others, but yeah, there's, so yeah. Greg,
Okay,
yep.
let's just do it.
Ryan, Kyle, and Katie. I just wanted to check in and say hi. I decided I needed a small break from the podcast, so I've been letting the Creed 2 episodes build up in my queue, and I plan to binge them all in the near future. I think I was a little burned out trying to keep up with an email every week, especially as our views seem to diverge more and more near the end of Creed. I decided to send you this email before listening to the new episodes because it seems like there has been a fair amount of news in the Rocky cinematic universe since we last spoke, and I wanted to throw in my 2 cents on what may be coming in the future. Ranked in order of my own level of interest. 1. Rocky vs. Drago, the ultimate director's cut, and the companion documentary Keep Punching, The Present Meets the Past. This is the most exciting project. It is clear from some of Sly's Instagram videos that he has invested a lot of time and effort into this new cut, and I can't wait to see the final product and how it differs from the original. If this release is as successful as I think it could be, I wonder if Sly would consider doing the same thing with Rocky V or any of the other sequels. Honestly, I think this is maybe more interesting than trying to develop a new Rocky movie, as had been rumored for a while. 2, Creed 3. If I had to venture a guess, I would bet that none of you are very excited for this movie next year. For me, though, anytime I can revisit the Rocky world, even if Sly does not appear, is something I want to see. I know we have differing opinions on MBJ, but I think it's awesome that he will get the opportunity to direct his first feature through this series, continuing the legacy that began with Stallone directing the earlier Rocky sequels. I have no idea if it will be successful or good, but I think he deserves the chance to find out. I will also hold out hope for a small Stallone cameo in Creed 3 all the way up until it doesn't happen.
It won't
3.
happen, yeah. So we'll quickly just... I meant to comment.
Okay.
So yes.
Oh, sorry.
So Greg, no, that's fine. Greg the First is right. Because he hasn't started listening to the season yet, we've addressed all of these in their own way or another, but I'm still glad to hear his thoughts on what he thinks. But yeah, we talked about the director's cut and what we're hoping to expect and how it's going to differ from the original. I agree. It's going to be interesting to see how it does, how it retcons with today's type of movies. Creed 3, we've also have expressed our level of interest, and that's on past episodes, so I don't have to rehash that. Just again, for the record, we want it to do well. We just don't know how it will do without Stallone. But if it does well, great. It's only going to help the product in the long run. Because if people like Creed 3, then they might go back and watch Creed 2. And if they like Creed 2, and they go back and watch the original series because they want to see more of this Rocky character. So I want it to do well for the sake of the franchise. And lastly, his third point we'll read right now. Okay.
And lastly, what? Sorry, Ryan.
Oh, the Rocky prequel part.
Yeah, so the third point is Rocky prequel series. This is the one where I just don't see it. I read the notebook pages Stallone posted where he started to write his treatment for the series, and I'm not sure it is interesting enough to justify existing. Using real historic events as a backdrop is an interesting idea, even if it isn't original. But I just think so much of what makes Rocky great is wrapped up in Stallone's performance, and finding a younger actor to recreate that would be a nearly impossible challenge. There was also nothing in what we shared online that actually told you what the story would be about, so it's hard to get too excited without knowing more details. I hope you are all well and promise to check in again in the future after I catch back up on the podcast. Thanks for reading as always, Greg the First. I agree with Greg that find that it's a nearly impossible challenge to find to kind of recast with younger people.
Agreed.
Which we talked about, I think.
Yeah, and I was going to say as well, it's funny now reading his response about Sly's little tease on Instagram with the scripts that we read ourselves, and actually Greg the First will hear us that we addressed that one of the episodes. Yeah, I wonder if it's just another one of those. It seems like every day that goes by, we're just not going to hear about it anymore. I feel like it's just something that Sly does. Hey, look at this, and then I guarantee we'll just never hear about it again. That's my guess now. It just feels
Yeah,
that way
sure.
already.
It could be shot down too, right? Like
Hmm.
maybe he genuinely wanted to do that, but no one will buy that pitch,
Yeah.
and it just gets thrown in the file cabinet, indefinitely.
I more and more believe we've seen the last of Sly as the Rocky character on screen. That's what I feel. Okay. So, all right, Greg the first, awesome from hearing from you, and yet you'll have plenty of time to catch up. So, for anyone listening, if you want to send us an email, please by all means do so, and we might just have a kind of like an email discussion talk, in the summertime between my sales. So, if you want to send us an email, comments, or anything, we can have an episode like that, or we'll just do another more Creed coverage, so whatever. But now's a chance to kind of catch up and send those emails in, because there's a bit of a break if you want us to read it in real time, so to speak. Okay, the next one.
We have one from Hector.
Yeah.
Subject: Creed 2 Episode 3. Hey guys and doll, hope you guys are doing very well. I'm currently listening to Episode 3, so I might blurt something out of context. Listening to the previous episode, I really wanted to ask each one of you, would you have rather had 2 more actual Rocky films or the 2 Creed films we got? That's a really good question, Hector.
Kyle, you were about to say something there.
Well, I was just thinking to myself, okay, so 2 films after Rocky Balboa, not like if Sly somehow did Rocky films between Rocky 4 and 5 or 5 and Balboa.
That's right. He's saying, would you rather had a Rocky 7 in 2018 than a Rocky 8? A Rocky 7 in 2015 and a Rocky 8 in 2015 and 18, whatever. Sorry.
To me that's easy. Sorry.
What are you gonna say? Yeah.
Well, absolutely not. I wouldn't want 2 more Rocky films. Definitely not. I thought Rocky Balboa was a good goodbye for him. That goodbye at the end of him leaving the ring is fine. He was getting quite old. Seeing him do 2 more fights or whatever is like a fighter in there. I think Rocky Balboa was pushing it a bit, but it was fine. I really like Rocky Balboa. But Rocky turning into the mentor was 100% the way to go. No question.
I guess he's arguing, or he would probably tell you that Rocky would probably be a mentor in Rocky 7 in 2015.
Well, then
it would just be more of a focus. Yeah, I agree, Kyle. Like, he couldn't be in the ring again.
No.
It would just be, it could be very similar to the Creed movies we got, just more of a focus on Rocky and kind of more Rocky-esque than.
I think it would be what you were talking about, Katie. It would actually would have been Rocky 7. Okay, to answer that question, I'll answer his first. I agree with Kyle that what we got with the Creed films was not an excuse, but a movie, 2 movies where you could have the Rocky character still being used outside of so there's no weight on his shoulders. It's not Rocky 7. So if the Creed movie failed, then it wouldn't have mattered, because it's just a Creed film, not a Rocky film. I don't know if that makes sense. So
yeah, and I think now that I think about it, I would be interested in a Rocky film that is about Rocky's life, like post boxing, and it involves him mentoring, but they showed not that much of the actual fights. Like, you don't get it too attached to his fighter.
Exactly.
Like, his fighter's essentially the prop. Whereas in Creed, like, the story is really about Adonis Creed, right? Like, Rocky's a huge part, especially in the first Creed movie, which is good. But yeah, like, I would have been interested in a Rocky film where it talked about his life, or maybe him being estranged from his son. But I don't know if that'd be well received.
yeah.
In that, like, you want to, like, when you think of a Rocky film and it's called Rocky, as you know, with Rocky 5, the mistake is him not going in the ring. It doesn't end well with the audience. So,
Yeah, I think they had no choice but to do the Creed films. But if I know you guys would have done the same thing. Like, we're not the average audience. We would have loved to have seen a Rocky drama film without a boxing We would love to see
Yeah.
the This Is Us version of Rocky. We talked about, or like
Mm-hmm.
a drama version of the life of Rocky, which could involve a mentorship, of course, but it's not about that. It's still his life, and the mentorship's just a B plot or a C plot,
Yeah. Oh, totally.
or
Yeah.
part of the many things in his running the restaurant. I mean, a Rocky
want him-
drama would be great. Running the restaurant, the cast of characters at the restaurant. You could do a lot in his world. It's crazy what you can do with, but we will never see that because there's no money to be made in that.
Yeah, because too many people see Rocky as a boxing film,
Yeah.
which we disagree with very strongly. But just the general popcorn eating masses,
Right.
that's what they come to see.
All right.
I would have preferred to see him take over Mickey's gym.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Let's say he's
Yeah.
let's say he's running
Yeah.
the gym instead of a restaurant or something. Yeah, it would have
Yeah.
been cool. And then you could
Or
have his
both.
mentors and his staff and different kind of kids walking in and out. You could have, boy, there's a million storylines you could do in that
Yeah.
world. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Where he takes someone's locker away from them, and then he realizes, oh my God, I've gone full Mickey. What have I done?
Oh yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
All right. So you guys want to say
Okay, so Hector says, would Rocky be fighting in the ring, especially after going the distance with the current heavyweight champion?
no?
Maybe Rocky 7, agreed.
Yeah.
Maybe Rocky 7 would have him going up the card fight by fight, with the culmination in Rocky 8 where he gets a rematch with Dixon, this time for the championship. Maybe we see him training steps instead and seeing his relationship flourish with either little Marie or his son. Since someone always has to die, we finally get an on-screen death scene for Polly with flashbacks of Adrian passing away. I don't know.
Training
He said-
steps? Is this a troll email?
I don't know.
Hector, what the fuck? What are you doing?
And
man?
going up the card and fighting for the championship in Rocky 8 at age 70 something.
Imagine if Steps ran the Rocky steps, your mind would be blown.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I did kind of wonder where little Marie went. Like they just kind of let that drop. So,
Jamaica.
yeah.
You went to
European
Europe?
country. Yeah.
She went to Europe. Yeah.
So Hector says, I don't know. I do that sometimes, adding to the Rocky story without coloring outside the lines. Over a decade ago, I had this treatment for a Rocky anime, filling in the blanks between each movie. But I never knew who to send it to. I put it away over a decade ago. I wrote it back in 2007. I can't find it, but I definitely revise it, where the series takes place during lockdown and Rocky and Logan are alone in the house due to Rocky Jr. and his wife being stuck on vacation/holiday in a different country. Every episode starts with Rocky telling his grandson bedtime stories, ending with Rocky turning off the light and giving him a chance to reminisce on his own. If you guys like the idea and give it to someone who actually could do something with it, it's yours. Just let me have a few cameo parts as a street singer. Please take care. And Ryan, please be safe. Please bring me a baby Godzilla when you come back. Hector Canales.
Wow.
That's a fun treatment. And it goes back to similarly like with what you were talking about, Ryan.
Yeah, I actually almost like his a little bit better with the idea. Like we were talking about him writing a story or a printed version for his grandson, but having him tell the story like Princess Bride style of like him at the bedside, and he's taking care of Logan for 2 weeks while his dad has to work out of town. And there you go. And it's like, Grandpa, can you tell me about the time you fought the giant? You know, and then he can tell stuff like this. And that would be interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know anybody famous that could do anything with it.
No, I appreciate Hector thinking we have any kind of. Granted, I've interviewed quite a few people that have one that have Sly on their phone. Like I actually have, two for
That's
sure.
so cool.
Like, so I won't say which one I'm talking about here, but one of them has given me a lot of information. So it's great to hear some stories and stuff, and I can't even repeat them. them.
Your fame
Ryan,
adjacent.
You gotta tell us when we're in Philly together, whenever that happens.
Okay,
It'll whisper it.
Yeah. So that's how we got some of the not inside scoop, but it's kind of public now because one of those individuals actually put it on Facebook. So about the back slide getting kind of slided on the Creed 2 set. So, yeah.
So Ryan, if he's in Vancouver, I think a great scene would be if he does a run down like in Hastings or downtown East Side.
Oh, I'd be running down Hastings.
I walked through there by accident once. It's like this. Vancouver's a super nice city, but they like concentrate all the crime and misery in one very small area. And it is the scariest looking place you'll ever go.
So yes, thank you, Hector. That was it's scary. It's very scary. Hector, thank you so much for that email. You're awesome. You're the our favorite wrestler after Thunderlips. So.
Well, you can't beat Thunder Lips. Thunder.
All right, do you want to read the one from Donald Bishop?
Donald says, Creed. This is Creed 2, Episode 5. Dear Brian, Kyle, and Katie, I just finished Episode 5 of your Creed 2 coverage. So far, it's another great season. I like the compromise you've made with the musical intro and outro. Have you been getting any feedback on that? Just curious.
No, to answer that, no one said anything, which tells me they're all happy because nobody's complaining. All right. Because nobody ever says nice things. If they ever email me about it, it's just the moan about it.
He's saying that he likes that compromise.
Well, he likes the compromise because he didn't like the intro.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Thanks, Don.
Yeah, he says, personally, I listened through until the very end. Higher was one of my jams in high school.
Well, he's probably loving the covers that people are doing.
He says, I'm glad you called out Sly last episode for the use of Bobby. It's weird. Rocky called him the Kid more than he ever called him Bobby. He never called him Bobby.
No.
Donald says, when I was younger, my family called me Donnie. Once I grew into adulthood, though, they stopped. They knew Donald was a mature name, more appropriate for my now adult relationship with my family. Rocky seems to be going backwards. Then again, the Rocky timeline. Am I right?
That's right. He is de-aging.
Yeah. Speaking of Robert, it was cool to learn that one of the Robert actors is now trans. Rocky fans tend to think of Sage and Milo when they think of Rocky Jr., so it's great to learn what happened to the others. I hope she comes on the show. I wonder if the upcoming Rocky IV director's cut will include the new name in the credits. Many movies featuring Elliot Page, when he was previously known as Ellen Page, have already been updated.
So to answer his question,
I didn't know Ellen Page is trans.
Yeah,
she's
I didn't know that.
Sorry,
Elliot. Okay.
Yeah, Ellen is now Elliot, and
I didn't know that.
He is now a he. I can't even. She who was once a she is now a he. That's but he has always been a he.
Yes,
yeah,
but the Rocky IV directors, that was a different kid.
That's what I was going to say. So, Donald, if I didn't explain myself very well, I apologize. The actor who played Rocky's son in Rocky III is now, she's always been a woman, but she's now living her life as a woman. Yes.
So she was the Breakfast of Champions one?
Yes. Paulie took her to the track.
It's the way to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, but I agree with everything that Rob was saying. I would love to have her on. I've reached out to her on Twitter. No response, but doesn't mean I could try again.
She was pretty young, though. I wonder if she even would remember.
Yeah, but it'd be interesting just to hear a little bit of what she may or may not remember. Then just to hear about her journey, and it's just interesting. I would want to know like who got you the job. Did your parents like take you and say, "Hey, go star in this Rocky film"? Like, there's got to be a story in there somewhere. Yeah. Like if she was on one movie set, why not anymore? Or what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Or did her parents not like the experience, or she didn't like it?
That was a cute kid. That kid was cute, like a cute kid. Yeah. So Donald says in episode 2, you guys.
I just thought of something.
No, go ahead.
It's kind of meta when Rocky says to Robert in Rocky V, "Oh, you're the daughter I always wanted." So,
indeed.
A little bit weirdly meta. It happened. Anyways, it doesn't make sense, but it's just kind of there's a weird connection with that comment and with what happened. Okay.
So Donald says in episode 2, you guys called out Sly's lack of subtle foreshadowing. when the boxing announcers wondered what was next for Adonis. I wanted to call some much more subtle foreshadowing to your attention, though. Oh, did we miss something?
I think so.
I myself missed this at first, too. In the locker room, when Rocky's pumping up Adonis for the Wheeler fight, he says there's only 3 steps into the ring, but tonight they'll seem as high as a mountain. Mountain, Rocky 4, Drago, get it?
Oh Jesus, that is quite the.
That's
It's a bit of a stretch, but yes.
a stretch.
Considering
Meaning
I didn't think of the zoo thing, I doubt he thought of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, if he didn't remember who likes to go to the zoo, I don't know if he made that. Yeah, there's no way. But that's a great thing about art, anyways. It doesn't, and even authors will tell you this of music or books, or whatever. They'll say that if fans get something else other than what they meant to put there, that's the whole point. Like, it might not have been in his mind when they wrote the dialogue, but if you as a fan made that connection, it's still a pretty cool connection. Yeah, the mountain is coming. Yeah.
Yep. He says, looking forward to your coverage of the big Dolph / Sly scene coming up next episode, or possibly many episodes back, depending on when you get to this email.
Just one episode
like
back.
that.
That's not too bad. It's not too bad.
Stay safe overseas, Ryan. Everyone in the Rocky Discord server is thinking of you. Keep punching Donald. That was a nice message.
That was very nice. Thanks, Donald. Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. And we got one last quick one. This is from our favorite truck driver, long haul truck driver.
Oh, yeah. Chester Copperpot.
Yeah.
Nick. His real name's Nick.
His real name's Nick, yeah.
Yeah. Hello, Ryan, Katie, and Kyle. I've got a few quick questions for you. 1, besides Stallone, if you could have any autograph from any character in the Rocky franchise, who would it be? That's hard.
Well, it's a call between. Well, I'm not speaking for you guys. You know, it's funny. I'd probably get Talia's.
Yeah, same.
Because I just really want to meet her. You know,
Totally.
I just want to say thanks for being the heart and the backbone of that show. I mean, without your character and your portrayal of Adrian, it just wouldn't be the same franchise.
That's true. I think I'd say Talia or Dolph, because I really do like Dolph.
That's fair.
but
No, that's
yeah.
fair. I can see that. Yeah.
Burt Young is my close second.
Yeah, I know. I was like, but then there's Burt, and then there's
I
Carl
know,
Weathers,
there's
and
Carl
like
Weathers,
there's
I
just
know.
yeah. So
Talia for sure.
Oh, I think he's actually asking character.
No.
He says if you could have any autograph from any character in the Rocky franchise, who would it be? So I wonder.
well, but he says besides Stallone.
Oh, okay, my bad. Okay,
So that's why-
I was reading
yeah.
too much into it. I was saying if you wanted to meet a real boxer, who? Yeah, okay, that's fair. Okay, so next question.
2, why is it that Clubber Lang has never had a cameo, or even mentioned, to my knowledge, in any other Rocky movie?
Well, if you want to, we're thinking what would the characters talk about outside of what was filmed for the audience to see, if that makes sense. So there's a world that exists between scenes that we as a viewer don't see, but the characters have to travel to go to their next parts of their life that we're seeing. You could just argue that just for the storylines of the movies that we saw, there's just no need to talk about that fight with Clubber Lang. There's just, like, how many times are you going to bring it up that it's going to be brought up in the viewing of the universe that we're seeing? Like, it just doesn't carry the story forward. I did talk about, though, here's a bit of a spoiler alert for a future episode, because I mentioned this on Craig's Slycast, but they had a missed opportunity for the desert scene when Rocky says, oh, I know of somebody, I know where we can go, that when they're out in that middle of that junkyard workout, that the guy that runs the place is Clubber. It would have been a nice little cameo, just have Clubber run the place. That's like,
I would have hated that shit.
so you're the one that would have hated it.
Yeah, well, I think Clubber would stay in Chicago. I don't think he'd be out in the desert like that. I'd
Maybe
be like, what the fuck
geography.
are you doing here? Like, I know people can move places, right? But
Or
to
then
me-
maybe they could have flown out to Chicago.
Mhm.
They just
now
say,
if they were in Chicago, I would be more willing to accept that.
yeah.
Um,
However they got there, because in Sly said that the Clubber character found God, so he did. He
Yeah.
found God. So you could combine that with the author canon that he works with youth in the fitness, because this is a hardcore fitness program, but it's actually to save troubled youth, and you could combine that with the training with the Adonis.
Yeah, yeah. Or I would have I think we mentioned this before, but there was talk about maybe Clubber commentating one of the fights, like in Rocky Balboa or something like that.
Mhm.
That would have been a great cameo. That would make sense because they have ex-champions comment on fights fairly often. Like that wouldn't be unusual.
And it would have been cool to see Clubber, like being the humbled like Christian man. He was like,
Yeah,
I pity myself for the way that I treated others, and he could talk about stuff like that. He could be like a
I'm
little,
sorry. He apologizes to Sly for trying to sleep with his woman.
yeah, yeah. What I said to your woman wasn't right,
Yeah, that would have been cool for sure. Yeah.
This is a question number 3 that I think Kyle will have an answer for.
Number 3 says, did you ever see the Chuck Wepner and Andre the Giant exhibition match? It's very similar to the Rocky and Thunder. It's very similar to the one that Rocky and Thunderlips had. All the best, Chester Copperpot. Nick.
Did you ever hear about that fight?
No, but I loved Andre the Giant.
Well, Chuck Wepner sued Sylvester Stallone, and they settled out of court because there was a bunch of stuff. Of course, the first Rocky fight was admittedly by Stallone, based off the Wepner Ali fight, but there was other stuff that match with Thunderlips that was based off him, and there was a couple other things too that was kind of similar to Chuck Wepner's life, and so it's his lawyer argued that he stole Wepner's likeness to make a profit off it, which I think is a stretch. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Wepner got some cash for that.
I wonder how much though, because
he kind of. That's true. If he did base some things on his life, then yeah. If I were Chuck Wepner, I'd want something out of it too.
Yeah. I could see him suing, but I think there's a lot to the Rocky character outside of those events.
It's a jumping off point, but it's
yeah.
I think he was smart to settle. Wepner probably got $50,000 or something like that.
Yeah, it probably
which is pocket change in the grand scheme of things for that business. So,
did you see that exhibition?
No, I've never.
Kyle?
I've never heard of it.
No, I've only referred to in that lawsuit.
Oh, okay.
But I never actually saw. Now I'm gonna Google that because I'm sure it's YouTube or somewhere.
Yeah, I'm gonna Google it too. I'd like to see check out Andre the Giant. That's fun.
But man, that would be a huge size difference. Andre the Giant was gigantic, of course, but he would have the size difference between Hulk Hogan and Stallone would be understated compared to the size difference between Webber and Andre the Giant. That'd be insane.
They did try and play it up though. They were he's almost 7 feet tall, weighing 390 pounds. Well, I guarantee he didn't weigh 390 pounds.
No.
But yeah.
All right. So that is it for email. If you want to send us an email that we can read out for you end of July, beginning of August of 2021, gtdwithrr@gmail.com. And if you're hearing this episode after that date, send us an email the same. We'll read it when we read it, and you'll hear it eventually. All right, so let's roll into the film. And I got to share it with you guys, so stand by for that. Netflix, there we go. Okay, here we go.
I kind of figured you'd be here. I tried calling and calling, but nobody picked up or anything.
Okay, so obviously we hear grunting and pounding. That's Michael B getting all swole there on the bag, pounding it in anger and frustration or whatever. And, of course, Rocky's like, oh, I thought you'd be here, which is fair. He's like, puts two and two together that a rematch has been called on TV to humiliate or antagonize Creed Jr. So the question I have for you guys is, we hinted at this last conversation, Kyle brought this up, but why is he angry?
Okay, so can I just make a quick comment before that?
Of course, yeah.
this initial scene here gives me the vibe of when Apollo approached Rocky in Rocky 3 in the gym when Rocky hit that bag. He's like, I waited by your place for an hour and you weren't there. I thought your wife said you might be here. And so then when Rocky's like, I figured you'd be here. I was trying to call, but you weren't there. And that, I'm like, in this
Good
case, he's
callback.
talking out of a fight instead of into a fight.
Right.
But to me, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's a subtle hint there. Maybe it's just my mind doing.
No, I like it.
I like it too.
But like, I family stuff brings up a lot of emotions, right? Like you have a promoter that is using a tragedy in your family, your father being killed in public, to get you into a fight, and basically calling you a coward if you don't take it. Like they're antagonizing you, and they're using your father's death to antagonize you. And like, yeah, there's like a lot of deep-seated emotional, I guess I'll call it trauma or baggage that he has about his dad anyway. So like that's got to poke the bear. Like that promoter knew exactly what he was doing when he did that, and Adonis is reacting just like how you think he would.
I would just add to that. I fully agree, Kyle. I wonder if it doesn't help that that in that press conference they were downplaying Donnie's championship by
Right.
basically saying that Wheeler was way past his prime, and like, so now it just seems as though that gives Donnie like, oh, so people don't see me as the real champion. I still got to prove myself.
And there's a nugget of truth in that. Wheeler was past his prime, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make Donnie not the champion, but I think if you're insecure about something or you have self-doubt, if there's anything that could even hint that your doubts are true, it's easy to embrace that. It's like your worst fear coming there, and I think like that, like his buttons were really pushed, and he probably is thinking, am I the real champ? Like, do I have to prove myself with that? And he's probably a guy that doesn't know how to use his emotions. And so like I find people like that often, if you don't have a lot of emotional, I shouldn't say intelligence, but like
Right.
if you're not good with emotions,
Maturity.
anger is kind of your go-to emotion.
Yeah, that's fair. All right.
Kind of really be training, don't you think, after a fight?
Just trying to clear my head.
You get that. Cheaper than a shrink, that's for sure. Hey, Don, look, I heard what's going on, but you can't let him get inside. But I know how you're feeling.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. What happened a long time ago, that ain't got nothing to do with you. Listen, that fight is what Apollo wanted, all right? It shouldn't have happened, but it did. You gotta let it go. Come on.
So another good little acting moment there from Sly. He has that kind of that choked up voice that he had about the cancer confrontation in Creed Part 1. Right there
Yeah.
behind me. When he goes, that stuff, that happened long, it doesn't matter anymore. Or so what did he say when he said it did? Just before he said it did. Oh. I apologize. I'm messing up with the dialogue. But we just heard it. But when he says it did, just the way he said it,
Oh, that it shouldn't have happened.
yeah, just the
but
way.
it did.
But it did. Sorry,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. I just love how he acted that. It just reminded me of that Oscar-worthy moment of that's behind in the past when he does that part. Yeah, he had the same kind of acting there.
Rocky is he's able to detach himself emotionally from this and take because the disciplined approach would be, if you're Adonis, would not take that fight. You would say, look, Victor Drago, you were club fighter or wherever in Ukraine, work your way up the ranks just like everyone else.
Yeah.
If you get to number one contender and I'm champion, I'll give you a shot. But just like you're not going to come in here trying to do some weird recreation of some fight my dad had and expect me to take it. Like, not a chance.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Can he do that? Can anyone just, if it's a gimmick fight, or like if I just verbally challenge the champion of the world, can he accept it? Like, how does that work?
Well, it's essentially what Rocky won. I mean,
Yeah, but no, if you're not, but if you're not in that boxing book, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think nowadays, no. I think maybe I don't know what it was like in the 70s. You might have been able to do it more in the 70s, but like,
I don't know if that makes
Adonis
sense.
held multiple belts, right? Like,
Right.
were IBF, WF, WBC, and like you have mandatory fights in those belts in order to keep them. And if you don't take that, you lose your belt. So, like, in reality, Adonis probably wouldn't be able to take that fight.
Okay.
Unless for some reason these organizations okayed it. And I don't know what their rules are. Like, I'm not a big boxing expert, but yeah, I think it'd be unlikely.
Okay. That was the first question I had, was like, what, yeah, if Adonis didn't have to take the fight, then yeah, this is what Rocky's telling him. Don't do it.
You seen him fight, though?
I've seen him on sports TV and stuff like that. He's big, but he's raw. He ain't no mean machine like you are, that's for sure.
Okay, so what do you think of that little moment there?
with his dad jokes.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because, well, he said that he's raw. What do you think he means by that? Clumsy still, not quite a finesse boxer, maybe?
He's probably undisciplined. He's probably more of a brawler, like Rocky was.
Would Rocky consider that
probably doesn't
dangerous?
stick to a plan. Like, this guy Victor just comes in and just punches the shit out of anybody in the ring, right? So, like, he probably doesn't show a ton of boxing skill and like finesse, like you said, and discipline as a fighter.
I like the part where he says he's not a big machine like you are, though. But he says it I think he's trying to be silly, and
Yeah.
but it comes across as very kind of talking down to a child almost, like,
Yeah.
nobody's as strong as you are, my little buddy.
Oh, I'd be so mad. And this look we paused on, that's like the look Adonis was giving.
Yeah, like, don't patronize me.
Like, yeah, exactly.
So Rocky now has said that I've seen them on a few fights. Has he already done research before coming to? Because he would not know who this guy was. He following the Drago's career, so he had to see it between the conversation, or he's lying that he saw something.
Yeah, he said sports TV, which I find hard to believe. Like, maybe I could see, since he's come out of the woodwork and into this challenge, that maybe like ESPN or whomever would find footage of him and
They
play
showed,
it.
they showed it really quick. Yeah.
This guy, but then it's like, are these fights in Ukraine televised? Or are they taped? Maybe they didn't. That one we saw didn't look like it.
Yeah.
But you never know.
I know it's a little.
Or maybe
thing, but
I could see, like, if they showed a scene of him kind of similar to the Rocky punching the meat scene, where they show like him with some sparring partners or hitting the bag or something, and you could see like this guy is genuinely quite powerful and dangerous, then that's kind of more believable. Like, Rocky probably see something like that on sports TV.
So Rocky's already worried, it looks like.
Yeah.
Now here's the question I have for you then. So Rocky is worried about Adonis's. Okay? Let's pretend the same storyline is happening, but it's Drago Jr. is the Adonis character, the same build and ability, and Adonis was the one challenging the same manner. Okay, would Rocky be protective the same way, or would he be like, oh, well, this guy wants to get creamed by my champion, so be it? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, is he trying to help him? Is it just a physical help or mental? Because if I think he just honestly doesn't believe that Adonis is going to beat him. Like, it's dangerously outmatched.
I agree with you, Ryan, but I think there's two things. One is, like, he's right, like, and especially for Rocky, like, he doesn't want now a second generation to have to like that fight never should have happened, but it did. And so he's like, so there's an element of like, let's not like redo the past and, have an unfortunate scenario happen. But I also think that at this point, Rocky is legitimately scared for Donnie's physical health if he were to take the fight.
Yeah.
But he couldn't win.
And I think as his manager, he wants to see Donnie, do well. Kind of like Mickey once Rocky became champ, right? Like they weren't setups, but they weren't killers like these guys or like this guy. And I think he's kind of like that with Adonis too, right? Like I think he wants to keep, like Mickey said, I wanted to keep you winning and keep you healthy.
Yeah, that's good. That's his job.
I think,
that's the job of any
coach.
I
think Rocky's taking that job on, right? Like it's kind of like I say shit to my kids that my parents said to me that I never thought I'd say.
Sure.
And I hear my parents' voice in me sometimes. And I think Rocky's kind of the same way, where it's like he would have really resented Mickey for doing that back in the day, but now the shoe's on the other foot. He's doing the exact same thing. Plus, like with Victor and Adonis, the style matchup's really bad, and that's like a huge thing in boxing. Like certain styles don't go well together, and like Adonis's style is terrible for Victor Drago. So yeah, he can't tell him that, because if you tell Adonis you're going to lose, that's going to make him fight him for sure, right? So you got to come up with some bullshit excuse.
He's not as mean as you.
On sports TV and stuff like that. He's big, but he's raw. He ain't no mean machine like you are, that's for sure. You know what? I'm gonna cheer you up, because today's gonna be your lucky day. Christmas just came early for you, because I'm gonna hold the bag. Lucky guy.
Nah, you the one who's lucky.
How's that?
Because I'm gonna let you hold the bag for me.
Yo, that's it. That's better.
So now we have a scene of Adonis holding the belt. Now, we've got the picture there of his dad on the belt. Is Rocky on this belt too?
Not that you can see.
There was a person on the right side of it, but I didn't see who it was.
Oh, there it is. That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Okay, so question then. Okay, Kyle, maybe you can answer this. Why are they on the belt? Is there no other champions that have held the belt?
I don't know. I don't even know if the real belts have pictures of people. They very well might. I'm guessing if someone was on the belt, it would be because they were exceptional, even for champions. Or especially someone like Apollo who had a tragic death in the ring. That kind of merits a way that he could be remembered.
Okay. I know for this, but I mean, there was other champions before Creed and after Creed, and
Oh, of course. The idea of having Rocky and Creed on that belt is kind of ridiculous.
Well, I wonder
I
if
mean,
they
I
get
could
to
see Creed being
choose.
on there because Creed is like probably one of the best fighters ever, and he died in the ring, so I could see putting on there. But Rocky, I don't know if he's earned a spot on the belt yet.
so I got an answer here. Okay, so the standard belts usually have the faces of the champion and the challenger on them, or both challengers. The more elaborate belts will have the fighters Ali and Jose Suleiman on them. It's just the WBC's method of branding to put the faces on the belts. So Floyd now joins Muhammad Ali and Don Solomon as the constant images that will appear on each WBC green belt. And this was January 21.
Who just added?
Floyd.
Who? Mayweather?
Yeah.
Really?
Now, would that be the WCBC belt for that weight class, though?
It must be the heavyweight.
He's not a heavyweight.
Floyd's
That's weird.
not a heavyweight.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not. Okay, I don't know. I'd have to
Yeah.
dig more into that. But that there you go. So the faces are, I guess, just kind of the Michael Jordans of boxing. I hate to say it like that, but
Yeah.
Okay. So Kyle, you're right. It seems to go to people that are kind of the face of the brand for now. So that's why Floyd Mayweather is now going to be on the belt. Interesting.
Yeah, and I guess Rocky, I feel bad saying he didn't earn a spot on the belt because Rocky, obviously was an excellent champion, but there's lots of champions out there.
Yeah,
Right?
10 title defenses. 10 title defenses before Clubber. That's a lot.
Yeah. and he beat Drago, but that they won't recognize that
No.
because it was unsanctioned.
Creed taking major hits. This could be over soon.
Weird.
Creed is down, and he could be badly hurt. Nepal on the floor, looking unresponsive. This doesn't look good. There is no movement.
Okay, one sec. What we just heard there was not the commentary from the film.
It was the commentary from the film, which is kind of cool because you could argue there was more than one broadcast.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just find it odd that they wouldn't use their own thing. Like it's totally fine that they didn't.
Well, and because he's watching the broadcast, not the movie. Because there's other stuff going on, the sound, the soundtrack, the cuts back and forth, and what turned it out to be, this turned into like all the movie effects of that moment wouldn't play like an actual TV
you can
broadcast.
isolate that though.
Yeah, but what I liked, it was pretty cool how they're just like, yeah,
Yeah, like I'm not against it. I just I don't know.
it is
I
different.
don't like things that are different.
But they're trying to show that he's watching. Obviously, he's watching Rocky IV, or he's watching. Hey, this is the worst part of Rocky IV. Okay,
It's weird because he didn't know his dad, but wouldn't it be odd if you had a video of your dad being killed on
that
YouTube?
yeah, he's watching the last moments of his dad. I always like to think that I don't know if Apollo was dead there, that he was just unconscious there.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I don't think he'd be holding. They would be because he was like Rocky was holding him, like cradling him almost. It wasn't like when Mickey died on the slab. That was an obvious. Mickey is dead. He's screaming to the heavens. But Apollo, I don't think was dead there. I think the reaction is still of he's unconscious and they're just waiting for help. I think you wouldn't. I think if he was dead in that moment, they either didn't film it very well. Because it is pretty ambiguous because we're having the discussion, or they should have filmed it better with him like doing the like burying his head in his chest type thing, like pounding the mat.
Yeah, if you really wanted to do a good death scene and to be kind of creepy and realistic, like people die, their eyes don't shut.
Yeah, we've seen that on screen. Yeah.
And so it's like if you saw them kind of like close his eyes for him, then he's dead, right? But I find that blank stare, like if you have like a person who's passed away, really disturbing.
That's why they put pennies in the eyes.
What? Is that something that I should know but don't?
They do put pennies in. You've never seen that? They put pennies.
It's like a
in?
superstition or something.
It's
What was
because
it?
you're paying the toll for death or something to take.
Oh.
It's funny. Like I'll know certain things that are obscure, but then it's like something will be like everyone else knows that I like am oblivious to.
Yeah, I was like, no, I wasn't trying to be clever. I was, but
It's
I was
like an
saying-
old timey thing,
yeah,
right?
I think it's European, but yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, Jamaicans do it. They put
yeah.
You can't do that in Canada anymore or Great Britain because we don't have the penny.
That's right.
You'd have to put nickels in his eyes or quarters.
Inflation.
Yeah.
Well, this is coming to an end. I'm kind of a little bit sad, but I'm hoping our listeners will stick around and check out the other shows that are on this network feed. We just, at the time of this recording, we've officially added a Arnold Schwarzenegger podcast on this feed. So now we have Arnold Schwarzenegger, Dolph Lundgren, James Bond, Steven Seagal, and of course Bruce Willis and Sylvester Stallone podcast. So the network has really, the last of the Action Heroes podcast network, which just kind of houses everyone together. It's really growing. It's kind of cool. It's just a bunch of nerds talking about stuff. And so I want to thank all those guys who've joined the network. And if you listen to this show, hey, look, some of those shows are getting more downloads than me, but that's okay. We're all here and sharing the love, so that's good. I appreciate the stuff that they do. Yeah, follow us on Twitter, join our Patreon, throw a couple dollars towards that feed, and yeah, I just don't want to say goodbye. I'm just like waiting because I won't talk to you guys.
You should do the ding ding.
Oh, okay, I'll do
Yes,
this one.
Ryan, you need to do the dig ding here.
Yeah, I haven't done it forever. Actually, before I do, I've been listening to some of the old, like starting at the beginning. I've done a couple listen through some of my podcasts over the 5 years, and this is like my second time, and I'm So I'm just listening to the old episodes, and boy, I was cringe. Not that I'm much better now, but I listened to my early episodes with Ruben. Ruben, I think, had a better flow at the beginning, but not to say that I got better than him, but he definitely sounded more experienced. But I was listening to myself, and I am horrible, and I cringed listening to me. It's like, ooh, because I listen to these ones again when I edit. I always listen to every episode on air once to make sure what I sent out was the edit and the proper copy. But I don't cringe. And I listened to some of those early episodes. I'm like, oh, I would not podcast that way. So it almost, I don't want to tease the audience, but there was a small part in me that's like, maybe I should revisit those early films with Katie and Kyle. Because I know, I'm just torn. If I do something like that, I might just do the Rambo and the Rockies together if you guys are okay juxtaposing between the two, because I don't think the Rambo ones will take as long to get through anyways. Anyways, I will be honest, I was listening to some of those early episodes, and I was like, oh, I did not do a good job. So,
you know what we should try? And I'm just gonna for editing Ryan, I'm gonna be like, cut this part out now.
Okay.
We should, that 70s show when they'd all be in the circle smoking up and sharing profound thoughts. we should all get high and watch a Rocky movie together. It's just we wouldn't distribute that episode necessarily, and maybe just a Patreon or something.
That's a good idea. I like it, Kyle.
Okay, well, here we go. I got one here. So if you want to see three high people talk about Rocky, we have to reach, 30 patrons.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. So if we
Good
reach 30
incentive.
patrons, we will do that for you.
Brilliant, Scott. You guys have good ideas.
There you go. So we'll call it the 30 patrons high on Sly.
High on Sly. I love that.
love it. Oh, we'll come up with a few different names, like Apollo,
All
a few
right.
different rhymes.
So we'll see what happens by the time I come back in July. So if you want to make it happen, guys, make it happen. Okay. Well, I guess with that, I'll take us out. Ding.
Weed for Creed.
Go. Come on, you stepped on my
Sorry, I have to
DD.
say-
A weed for Creed. Okay, say it again. Say it again before I do what you say. I'll edit. Okay.
Weed for Creed.
I like it. That's very good. Wait, now we got to think of other ones.
Yeah, we will. I'll
Okay.
think of
Yeah.
some.
So that's again with 30 Patreons, and you'll see 3 enumerated hosts. And send us your cannabis nicknames for the characters. We'll leave it at that. On some emails. We'll read those out. Okay. All right. Well, ding, ding.